So today we continue with part 3. In the first two parts, we built the server 1, we built the server 2, and they are working. Today we are going to continue with part 3. And just as a reminder, let me just show you the architecture we are working with. And let me show you exactly where we are at this point. So we built our product server, this one. We built server 2. So actually server 1, server 2. And we also so this is the only thing we've done. Now we are going to be moving to product web. Okay. So let me get back to the page. Again, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed so that you don't miss an update. The step-by-step page is also here in the description box. You'll find a link to this website so that you can see all the steps and all the source codes that you need to use for this tutorial. So I'm going to start by creating a new application. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to close the two servers now. Okay, so this is where we are at this point. Step 2. So I'm going to say File, New, Project. So we are now creating the project web application. So I'm going to use the same settings as I used for the server. But in this case, take note that we are going to make a few changes now. We are going to use the same group, com.clients_genius. And the name of this one will now be product web. It's not server, but product web. So I'm going to say product web, and okay, perfectly well. So now we need to be careful what we do now. Right from at this point, it's very important to pay close attention. I'm also using Spring Boot. Okay. The product web will not contain any data, so we don't need MongoDB. But we may need web because this is going to contain the API that is going to fetch data from the two servers and also expose it to the client application as an API. So it's like a middle application between the UI and the backend server. So we actually need web. It's going to be Spring Web, this. Okay, so I'm going next. And yeah, the location is okay. I'm going to finish and I'm going to do it in the new window. All right, so now when it comes to the histories and the faint client, these are two things that we use to manage fallback or to manage circuit breaker. That's when a connection to a server fails. How do you route to another server? We need the faint client, and we also need history circuit breaker. All these things are components of the Spring Cloud. Okay, so we need to add the Spring Cloud version Finchley.release. That is what worked for me, because sometimes you may get errors that you check the community, you see people complaining about the same thing, but something might actually work. So what I'm sure that is working, that is not giving any bugs or any errors, is what I'm showing you right now. So Finchley release, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go to my pom.xml right here, and I'm going to go to this. Let me just make some space here. So under the properties section, just paste it right there. Okay, so this is our Spring Cloud version. Now we need to add the faint client and also the historics dependency. These dependency are coming from the Spring Framework.cloud, so they are cloud component. And the faint client is actually a Spring Cloud Starter Open Faint, and the Netflix, the Spring Cloud Starter Netflix histories. Okay, so this is what works perfectly well. This combination of these dependencies and this Spring Cloud version. Sometimes the cloud version and the dependencies might actually not relate well. If you mix them up, then it doesn't work. So I'm going to put this dependency in the dependency section. Let me put it the first part right here, and hopefully everything should be fine. After some time, it's going to be okay. Or we need to add more. We need to add dependency management section. So this is what I'm going to. So it specifies how the Spring Cloud dependencies are managed. I'm going to copy it and go down all the way down and go to, it's going to be in its own section. We also need to add this build. So I think this specifies that the build will be done using Maven. So I'm going to add it right here as well. So actually it's going to take out these errors you see. So I'm going to save file, save all. Okay. So after some time, this error is going to go away. So finally, we need to configure the properties, the properties of this product web. Now, we specified, or we mentioned that the port for the product web is going to be port 8090. So you can see that the error goes away because we did a reimport of the dependencies. So I'm going to copy the configuration that we are going to have in the properties file. So I'm going to copy this configuration, paste it there, and then explain it to you line by line. I also have made out a line-by-line explanation of properties of this configuration right here in my website. So feel free to go through. I'm going to go to SRC main. I'm going to go to SRC main, resources, and application properties, and just paste it right here. So basically, the first line says we are setting the port to port 8090. Now, the line 2 and 3, take note this line, is it line 2 and 3 or line 3 and 4? These two lines, they are joined together as one line. So I think that's a typo I made. So these two lines are joined together. So basically, you have to move this away and say histories command default isolation execution isolation thread timeout is going to be 2000 milliseconds or 2 seconds. Because the time is going to wait or to try to connect before it issues a fallback. And then we also need the product. The reason is because when this web receives a product from the server, it's going to be able to marshal it into a particular kind of class. It can actually receive them as list of objects, but it's better it gets them as list of products. So you should have a product class to be able to understand the records coming to it. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to create new. Again, I'm going to create a package as well. I'm going to put it in the models package. Okay, so this models package, I'm going to create new Java class, and it's going to be product. Okay. So again, we are going to copy and paste from the existing product server. And okay, so we're okay. So let's see. So we already have this. So we actually have set up the completed part 4, configure the properties, and now let's create the API. Okay, so let's create the API. So I'm going to go to the base package and create a new package. I'm going to call it API. So API is simply the service that exposes the methods that will be available to the clients trying to connect to this application. So it's going to expose the methods as well as the URL endpoints for these methods. So I'm going to call this package API, and we are going to call the name of the file ProductService. So it's going to be ProductService. All right. So ProductService. So in case of in view of time, I'm just going to copy these two services, these two methods, and paste them right there. Okay. So only two methods are exposed. So up to the architecture. Let me just show you where we are currently. So this is where we are. If I display the architecture here, so this is where we are at this point. So actually, we've not written the REST controllers. The REST controller, we've not written it. But let's see. Let me just scroll down a bit. API thing client. Okay, we are still getting there. So this is where we are. We actually have built the interface service, and the next part we continue building other components. I'd like to thank you for viewing. I would like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed. If you have any challenges, please let me know by leaving a comment below in the comment box, and we see you in the next part.